Last show, I mentioned that the Canadiens' playoffs started now with this game versus the Buffalo Sabres. They could ill afford to give up points, especially to division rivals. So you would think they'd come out a little bit hungry in the first period. Guess what? That didn't happen. Although they did outshoot the Buffalo Sabres in the first, the Sabres took advantage fully of an inept Canadiens defense that was skating in quicksand, and they got ample opportunities. The Canadiens woke up in the second period and in the third, but it was too little too late as the Sabres came away with a 4-2 win and sit just 2 points behind the Habs in the Atlantic Division. Let's talk some puck. By all accounts, this was a really frustrating hockey game for everybody, especially Habs fans. Right out the gate, the Sabres scored early. The Canadiens should have shut them down early. They didn't. The defense was activating, and the Sabres took full advantage of it. Before we get to the highlights, got to remind all of you, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the notification bell. But above and beyond that, you know how it works. Tell your friends about the podcast and let them discover it for themselves, because we have a good time. And of course, as always, in the comments, we have great discussion. Now, let's get to the game highlights. It started 44 seconds in when Jason Zucker scored on a one-timer that beat Montembeault low on the ice. Here they come in, 2-on-1. An early pinch by Hudson leads to this, and Zucker puts it in. There's Hudson trying to chase him down. Backhand pass, in the net. All she wrote, it's 1-0. Not the start Montreal wanted, but they got what they got. Canadiens were skating in quicksand. The Sabres were much faster than them in the period. Like I said, the Canadiens outshot them, but it wasn't about quality chances because the Sabres, despite the fact that the Canadiens outshot them tonight, they got a lot of quality. And that pretty much summed up how this game turned out for Montreal. Then, later on in the first, at about the 14:58 mark, the Canadiens had a power play. And what happened? Well, Beck Malenstein decided, you know what? I'm going to score a shorty. He gets around Noah Dobson. Shouldn't have happened. Should have never happened. But he gets around him and puts it past Monty to make it 2-0 for Buffalo. Here it is again. Watch. Bad angle, bad goaltending, bad goal. So the Sabres go into the intermission with a 2-0 lead. And you would think that Marty was a little bit energetic in the room, telling the guys, listen, we're only down 2-0, but you guys need to move your feet. Well, guess what? 2:25 into the third, somebody wasn't doing anything on this play. You'll see who I'm talking about, as Zach Benson scores to make it 3-0 Buffalo after the puck hit both posts, got in behind Monty, and Benson at the side of the net puts it in. Keep watching this play. You're going to see what I mean. And I'm going to talk about what happened on the play a little bit later involving number 47, who a lot of us thought shouldn't have been in the lineup. But I'll get to it later. Then, about a minute and change later, the Canadiens finally woke up. It started with a good play in the corner by Kirby Dach, who knocked Rasmus Dahlin on his ass. The puck got to Nick Suzuki, who fed it into the slot to who else but Cole Caulfield for a one-timer as he was fading away, puts it past Luukkonen, making it 3-1 and giving Habs fans hope. Here it is again. Suzuki on the boards, into the slot, bang into the net. It's 3-1. Canadiens fans are starting to believe. Then at 11:20, another great play, this time though by Zach Boldzirk, who intercepted a clearing attempt, gloved it down, took a good shot on goal, and Suzuki came in on the rebound and put it calmly past Luukkonen to make it 3-2, and the Habs have life. Everybody's excited in the building. Here it is again. Great shot by Boldzirk. Good rebound control there by Suzuki, and that made it 3-2. Everybody had life. They were singing ole, ole, ole. Energy was back in the building, and the Canadiens pressed, and they pressed hard. And while the power play didn't really generate anything, thanks to a good Buffalo penalty kill, the Canadiens just kept on peppering Luukkonen, getting shots on goal, and not really generating much. Then, with just 44 seconds left, the net empty, Lane Hutson's stick decides, you know what? I'm taking the rest of the night off, and it explodes on a one-timer. That leads to a 2-on-2 going back the other way, and Peyton Krebs putting it long distance into the empty net. That's all she wrote, and the Sabres come away with a 4-2 win, and they sit just 2 points behind the Canadiens in the division. Not what the Canadiens wanted. Now it's time for my game report. And let me tell you, this one's going to be extremely interesting. Starting with the first goal of the hockey game. Did anybody wake up to play this game? Or like they had the day off yesterday, right? They just practiced. They didn't have a game. It wasn't the tail end of a back-to-back. Why did the Canadiens come out so flat? 44 seconds for the first goal to be scored. There's no excuse for that. This is a divisional rival. I mean, if you can't get up for divisional games, you shouldn't be playing the game of hockey. And the Canadiens were skating like they had cement in their skates. It was bad. There was no speed. There was no anything from the Canadiens, especially on the defensive side of the puck. And that whole first goal started because of a bad pinch early by Lane Hutson. There's no reason to start pinching at 44 seconds or anywhere near the first minute of the hockey game. You haven't established your forecheck. You haven't done anything. So you're going to try to seal the wall on your backhand and try to take away time and space from the other team 5 feet inside their blue line. Not the right play for Hutson. I love the kid. I get what he wants to do. I know he wants to generate offense. But when you're playing a team like Buffalo, you can't always have your mind in first gear. You got to think about your own zone. And on that play, Hutson just didn't do that. On the second goal, Noah Dobson. Is there a reason why he didn't take Mallenstein and make him part of the banners on the boards of the Bell Center? Instead, he tried to poke the puck off. Instead of taking the guy and just absolutely wallpapering him, he just goes and he pokes his stick a couple of times, and Mallenstein gets around him. Why? Because Dobson stopped moving his feet. And to boot, Mallenstein's coming in on a horrible angle on Montembeault. And again, simply extend your stick. You knock it off his palate, no harm, no foul. But no, Monty stays tight. He doesn't, no poke check, no nothing. Mallenstein steps around him and puts it into the empty net. That makes it 2-0. But the worst, most egregious defensive play of the hockey game was on the third goal when Jaden Struble decided to take a break. Literally. Standing at the lip of the crease, watching the puck bounce around and not covering anybody. Okay, instead, Lane Hutson was trying his best to cover Zach Benson down low. I forget who the other forward is that initially shot the backhand, but Struble just stood there watching. And then when he saw the puck was loose, he's like, oh shit, I'm going to go get it. No. I'm going to say this with as much love as I can, okay, because I love my Montreal Canadiens. I love the team. There's no two ways about it, right? But I criticize often. And this time around, the criticism is valid. This isn't about individual players. It's about focus. The team just wasn't focused. Were they prepared? Sure. The preparation was done the day before. We watched the post-practice press conferences. We watched video from the practice. Everything looked like it was on board. And then you get this start from the defense. The one part of the team you absolutely need to play well. Kane Gooley had a great game. Mike Matheson, on and off. Alexander Carrier, he looked fine. But the other three, wow. I mean, it was not pretty. Even Dobson, early in the game, was pitching down low. I forgot what zone the Canadiens were in with the puck. For a minute in that first period, I actually thought that the Canadiens were in their own zone because Dobson was in deep for a prolonged period of time. What in the world are you doing? Honestly. I know that the Canadiens want to activate their defense, but that's activate, not leave them there. Okay? Activation means you get involved in the play, and when the play breaks down, you get your ass back to where you're supposed to be, on the blue line. But instead, they stay deep and they try to continue to do things offensively. There's a limit, especially against a team that's good in transition like Buffalo. You can't afford those chances. There's not one goal that the Buffalo Sabres didn't score tonight that wasn't off the rush. Whether it was Malmsteen cutting in shorthanded, whether it was the goal at 44 seconds, or even the goal that was scored in the second period. They all started with a good rush. The puck got in front, went off both posts. Monty completely lost his net, didn't know where he was, flailed at the puck with his pallet, and Jane Struble could have pitched a tent that pulled out a smoke. There has to be some kind of accountability here on somebody. Now, we all wanted Arbor Xhekaj in this game for the simple reason that he's much more physical than Struble, and he's been playing better defensively. Granted, he's made a few mistakes, right? We saw that game where he made 2 mistakes, right? Where he gave away the puck a couple of times. He already sat out for that. Why inject Struble here? Are you showcasing him for something? Because if you are, I guarantee you there's no takers. He was bad tonight, and I mean bad. That third goal was a direct indication of how bad Struble has struggled this year. There is no reason an NHL defenseman should be standing next to his net watching. All right? The Canadiens play man-to-man defense, not man-to, I'm going to stand behind the man defense. So if this is what you're going to get from Struble, it's time to reinsert Xhekaj into the lineup because you need that physicality. Now, of course, given that Saturday they're playing against the Bruins, it's almost a guarantee that Struble's going to play because Boston's his hometown, which I think is crap because the way he played tonight does not earn him the right to play at home. No matter what the circumstances, it's a divisional game. Do not play him. Insert Xhekaj, please. Enough. Got to throw some flowers out, though, in this hockey game. Early on, Josh Anderson really got the energy going for the Canadiens, and that's what led to a lot of the shots that they were getting early on in the hockey game, despite the fact that they couldn't score and they were playing from the outside. Another guy who played extremely well, and I called him out for this, was Zach Bolduc. Okay, he was a big part of Nick Suzuki's goal, creating the play, and it was a freak thing, right, that Marty threw him out there on a face-off play. Canadiens win the draw, have possession of the puck. In comes Doc. Sorry, that wasn't the Doc goal. Doc was actually on the bench. In comes the clearing attempt. In comes Bolduc. He grabs the puck, puts it down, fires it home. Fires it, and the rebound's put home by Suzuki. You can tell I'm excited here. That's the type of Zach Bolduc we want to see. Not only that, but there were times during this game where he was extremely physical. And I'm not talking about the reverse flying elbow that he gave to Zach Benson. Along the boards, Zach Bolduc was finishing his hits. He wasn't doing that for an extended stretch, and he is most effective in creating space for himself and his line mates when he finishes checks along the boards and gets into good scoring areas, right? We saw it. He finished a check on the play where he took the shot that led to Suzuki's goal. He came into the middle, grabbed the puck, put it down. I mean, there's no two ways about it. It was a great play by Bolduc. But overall in this hockey game, I thought he showed for all of the good reasons. Not because he was invisible or he didn't do the right things on the ice. Okay? Another guy who did good things on the ice tonight, I found, was Brendan Gallagher. Really implicated, getting to the net front, working hard along the boards against a very physical Buffalo team. You needed players like that. And Gallagher delivered. It didn't lead to anything, but it did create some scoring chances for not just Phil Deneau, but for Josh Anderson and a couple of defensemen. And that's the type of Gallagher we want to see. You could tell he's a little bit more rested. He had his legs a little bit more, and he's showing well, which is great because that's what you want. On the defensive side, I was really impressed with Caden Gooley. Like, there's no two ways about it. Gooley tonight, you could see his timing is starting to come back. It's never easy to shake off the rust when you've been out of the lineup for an extended period of time. But Gooley, he actually did very well in this hockey game. And I think he's just going to improve. I hope he continues to stay healthy. He's going to be a big part of the Canadian success down the stretch defensively. Another thing I wanted to talk about on the negative side of things is the lack of production from the power play. Now, Here's what we've noticed in the past few weeks. The Canadiens have slipped down to ninth in the NHL as far as their power play is concerned. It's not because they're not able to pass the puck around. It's because they are unable to open shooting lanes. When they do, when they use the bumper, they're fine. The problem is, though, that other teams are realizing that Canadians love to pass the puck along the perimeter, so they're starting to pressure the puck carrier. They're leaving the bumper empty because there's nobody there. You've got all 5 Canadians along the perimeter, so why not just pressure the puck carrier? Leave the guy down low to the goaltender and force the guy with the puck to make a quick play. The puck moves, the puck moves, the puck moves. Oh, puck's given away because it's too close to the boards. The Sabres come in with pressure, separate man from puck. Puck goes down the ice. There has to be something done about this power play. There needs to be a catalyst. You need to have somebody who's going to shoot the puck. Okay, so if you're not going to move Caulfield off the goal line and you're going to leave Suzuki at the hash marks, that's fine. Lane Hudson has to shoot the puck from the blue line. Ivan Demidov has to shoot the puck off the half wall. And Juraj Slafkovsky has to play either in front of the net or in the bumper. You can't have him down by the goal line opposite Caulfield waiting for the puck to come around the perimeter. That's not how the Canadiens' power play should be structured. If they're going to run a 1-3-1, then it's really important for them to make sure that that 1-3-1 is effective and that there's somebody in that bumper position. If you don't have somebody in that bumper position, it's not a 1-3-1. You're playing an umbrella. Completely different strategy, completely different defensive coverage, and a lot less effective. So stick to what you know. Stick to the 1-3-1 because you know it gives you success. If you want to vary between the two, or you want to use an overload where you've got 2 guys at the point, 2 guys at the hashes, 1 guy at the goal front, that's fine. But you can't play an umbrella because the umbrella is wide. Okay, it doesn't use only a half ice section like the overload does. The 1-3-1 as well, it compresses, right? You got guys going in and out all the time. The same holds true for the overload. When it comes to the umbrella, though, the only way it's effective is if you allow space for the puck to move. So you need to be wide. That's not an effective power play in today's National Hockey League. And it showed tonight. The Canadiens have to get away from that, be much more aggressive in front of the net. You saw it against the Wild. The Canadiens were getting bodies in front and it worked. Why get away from that? It didn't work tonight. They didn't have him tonight. There was nobody in front of the net. Luukkonen saw everything. Where were the screens? Where were the bodies in front? Where was Doc in front of the net? Where was Slafkovsky in front of the net? Didn't happen often enough. And so the Canadiens, well, one and done on most shots. Not a lot of rebound opportunities. When they did get rebound opportunities, guess what? Suzuki puts the puck in the net. But I don't remember more than maybe a couple of chances in this game where the Canadiens were very dangerous. Obviously, the Caulfield shot going in from the high slot, that's a dangerous opportunity. The interception of the pass by Bolduc and the rebound by Suzuki, obviously a dangerous opportunity. But if you think about other dangerous opportunities the Canadiens got that really felt like they had a chance to score, I didn't really see a lot of them in this hockey game. There may have been 5 or 6 total, including the goals that went in. Beyond that, I mean, a lot of the shots came from the perimeter. A lot of them were one and done. Got to give credit to Luukkonen. He did freeze a lot of pucks, mitigating the amount of rebounds and forcing faceoffs in the Buffalo zone. Granted, the Canadiens did do very well in the faceoff dot tonight, but overall, when you can't get shots from high danger areas, which is where the Canadiens live and thrive, they're not among the top scoring teams in the league for nothing. When you can't generate those chances, you're not going to win hockey games. Tonight, the Canadiens generated very few of those chances. And that's the biggest reason why they lost, along with a very porous defense. There's not much more you could say about this game. Get away from it. Look at it. Get ready because you're playing Buffalo, not this Saturday, but the one after. But you got to take the lessons from this game and move them to Saturday because you know that Boston's going to pre-scout this game. They're going to be ready for you. They're another team that's chasing you in the division. They want to catch you, right? You know that Buffalo is going to play well this coming Saturday against whoever they're playing. Let me take a quick look and I'll tell you. Let's see. Where are we here? The Sabres, 5-3 tonight. Nope, not 5-3 tonight. 4-2 tonight. They play against the Islanders on Saturday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's a little bit of an easier game for them than the one the Canadiens are going to have versus the Bruins. So you know the Canadiens are going to have to be ready. We'll preview that game during our live show tomorrow night. Of course, as always, we broadcast at 8 p.m. Eastern Time here on YouTube. And so make sure you tune in. That's why I'm saying hit the notification bell. You're going to get reminded that the stream's going to start so you guys can join in. Get involved in the chat because we have good discussions. Last week's was a little bit too heated. I apologize to Joe for that. But there's got to be a little bit more reasoning behind what's going on with the Canadiens. We'll also take a look tomorrow at the enigmas that are the referees. Are they trying to control games or trying to manage them? I don't know anymore. So we'll take a look at that and some other issues around the National Hockey League that involve the Canadiens. We'll take a look at the preview of the Canadiens game on Saturday versus the Boston Bruins. And of course, the live chat, which is always a lot of fun. See you live tomorrow night, folks.